Good afternoon, everyone, and we'll be with you in a little bit. Hopefully, we stay up here. We're getting some bad thunderstorms coming through Tampa here. They're just getting dark. It's like midnight. We were here last night at midnight too. We are where we want to be. We'll be with you in just a couple of minutes. We welcome those coming through on YouTube. And if you see this video over the weekend or at some later date, I'm Baggett on at Stock Market Caddy. You're always welcome to give us a call, 813-758-8263. Happy to chat with you, discuss what you've been doing, what you think and hope we might be able to do for you. And happy to have an adult conversation about trading as a business. We'll be back in a few. Okay, sorry about that, YouTubers. And we are getting we're getting hit with some. Well, we got some market turmoil too, but we're getting some storms blowing through. So hopefully, we will be able to keep you live and keep a view of what's happening. If you're watching on YouTube, let me just introduce myself. I'm Baggett on at Stock Market Caddy. The timestamp this is 3:02, August 26th. And we're getting, again, some heavy weather coming through. So if we do go down, it's not TradeStation, probably not even YouTube. It's just Florida weather in the afternoon, summertime weather. Let's take a look at what's happened here. First, we look at the S&P on a daily. Swing Machine went long the S&P a long time ago, 23 days ago, 3 weeks ago, on July 27th. We had earlier systems or other systems going long as early as the 13th of July. There are now some 58 points in that trade, but it was up obviously hundreds of points. Ample opportunity and ample warning to take that money. On the greed and fear meter here that we utilize, the S&P is now under its mean at 41.95, basically where it sat last night, the last day or two, and is working in this manner. This is not the time to be shorting the market, right? Not it on a swing basis, in our view. It's not what we would be doing. We wouldn't be, buying puts today. We wouldn't be selling call spreads today. In fact, we will hopefully early next week, we get into the panic sell. We'll be closing and wrapping up some of the option trades that we put on and looking to go the other way. Not immediately, but that's what we're looking at. The VIX, let's take a look at the VIX on a daily basis and see what we can learn. This is on a daily basis. The VIX is above its mean and it's running at about 60 on the greed meter. We'd want to see the VIX up into euphoria to really step in with our long option trades. So we got a ways to go. This market could get a lot worse, probably will, as early as the first part of next week. Technically, where we are, we're not prone to say this, but we've been cautioning our members that it could be a crash-like event. We could be down, percentages, maybe 5-10%. In the market, it's been years since we've done something like that. It's just not a good setup. The only thing maybe holding this thing together is the fact that this contract is expiring, but that may work against it this time. And September is notoriously a pretty bad month, so it's not looking too good. Let's put the VIX back on a 5-minute interval. And what do we see? At 10:25 a.m., the VIX went long, which was certainly an indication that we were going to have trouble today. The ES on a 5-minute interval went short at 10:05, and it's been straight down at 41.61. One mini contract, and you're up $3,900. The NQ went short at what time? 10:25 a.m. And it's been straight down and will probably accelerate into the close. 6,000. The Dow futures, 1 mini, 10:05, 3,000. The Russell, 950, 2,300. Gold's getting hit. Why? The dollar is strengthening on a sell-off. I wouldn't be shorting gold. I see this as an opportunity actually to be getting long gold. Let's take a look at gold in particular, and this is what's so versatile about this tool. And it is a tool on a daily basis. We're down in here. Yeah, it could go even lower, but I would be seeing gold as a buying opportunity. Went short 9 days ago. Let's put it back to a 5-minute though. Oil has been getting long here intraday, and nat gas been getting short. We are versatile in how we trade, not what we're trading per se. We like to trade futures intraday, intra-evening, because they're leveraged. During normal session hours, they're liquid. And it gives us the capacity to trade them robotically and mechanically so we can rid ourselves of the greed and the fear, is the idea. We did put up on YouTube last night, we ran a program, a specific program that we're fond over on a specific style of chart that we're fond over. And that program produced between 1 a.m. and 11, fully robotic, about $6,000. Now, that's not an every night or an everyday occurrence, but it's a beautiful thing when it works that way. You must have these robots. We get a lot of questions about the robots. I want to get that robot. So I want to be very cautious, and you should be skeptical. We're not presenting any of the robots as something automatic that you can just plug in and have it work. You do need to have acquired trading skill. And that skill is going to be developed over time and through experience of watching the market, being around the market, and understanding some things that you just may not be aware of right now. We try to make a person aware during our, what we call the Q School, of those things and how we go about trading the markets. Our members have a collection of tools and robots that they can kind of pick and choose to get done what they need and want to get done. And to that end, it's scalable and it's relative. Everybody comes at this with different experiences and different comfort levels. We talk about using leverage proportionately, responsibly, and this isn't get rich quick in one day or 1 week. It isn't. And so our versatility comes in trading the futures, ideally intraday. We might go, Susan, we did have Susie short the Russell on some futures contracts earlier in the week as a position. What's really beautiful is when the market does what it's doing, while everyone else is selling, we're actually buying. When everyone else is buying, we're actually selling. That's kind of a beautiful thing when it works out that way, as it did this week. But we will also trade options as well. And it's a different style. We like to trade options, which we're trading swing machine to pick up little micro bursts, little micro trends, intraday, intra-evening, or overnight. The options, we're putting those on, and we're, for the most part, defining risk, and we're going out days, so they're position, and we're selling the options. We like to do these vertical call spreads and vertical put spreads at the extremes, at the edges, and have the market pay us for our patience. The risk is defined, the risk is distributed, and for the most part, those options are going on as what type of trades? Counter trades. So it presents a nice balance. We can use our leverage and our tools to go after these sharp trend trades, microburst trades, and then we can use our other capital, same tools. We slow everything down and put on some of the option trades and define and have the market paying us as we might wait. So you need to be patient. If you're making decisions on the money, if you find yourself getting giddy, happy, euphoric when you make money, it's a trap. I'm not telling anybody not to feel good. I'm not telling anybody that that's a bad thing necessarily, but the problem is if you get those feelings and those emotions when you're making money, you're going to get the inverse when you have a drawdown or when you lose money. And you are going to have drawdowns. You are going to lose money. And a lot of new traders, retail traders, think, erroneously so, naively so, that they can trade with no drawdowns or no losing trades. And it can become an emotional roller coaster if that's how they've been making decisions. And what happens is it's insidious. They put on a trade, not sure exactly what they have. They want to stay in the trade. Maybe they win and they get up some money and they take the money. They take the money, take the money. And then they get into a trade that goes south and they hold and they're not really sure. And kind of studied this, and they have a tendency to hold on to that loser, and it becomes a negative outlier. And a lot of times I think they hold on to it not because they want to be right, not because they're necessarily afraid of losing the money, but in their heart of hearts, they may not really know why they put the trade on. And if they don't know why they put the trade on and what to expect and where to take it off, there's another insidious part, and that is, well, if I do take it off, what am I going to do next? So they do nothing. And they have a day like today. And if they got a ton of options on and they're looking at a bloodbath, not even, Tom Sosnoff is going to be able to help them out, right? So you have to find someone, and we try to do this for our members day in, day out, certainly intently during the Q School, to help them become aware. I'm not saying you can get totally rid of the emotion. I'm not telling that we can change anybody's personality or that you can change your own. But if you're not aware of something that is detrimental, it's hard to change that behavior, right? If you're not even aware, whatever that is, right? And, you can apply it to trading, you apply it to anything. If you can become aware of what it is, and we can help you become aware and provide you some tools, mechanical, robotic, to overcome that type of behavior and replace it with something else, it can be a beautiful thing. And that's why we say that what we're doing here is we're not giving out the fish. We're not trying to present this as saying that it's, and we're not, I haven't even talked about swing machine, just talking about the psychology really of trading. We're not trying to say that, swing machine is a green light, red light system and it's the Bible code. And I mean, it's wonderful what it does. It really is great, but it can have losses, but it can really help us get in. It can help us stay in. It can help us stay out, but it's only one tool of, now 70 some odd and more programs growing almost every week anyways, certainly every month, more and more offerings, so that the person can get control of their trading, get control of their life is the idea, and get control and keep those emotions at bay. And we're human. Susan and I, we trade ourselves. We're very different people, and it's okay. Susan's not going to trade the way that I trade. I'm not going to trade the way that she trades. We're not going to fight it. We try to complement it. We're aware. She's very much aware of her trading style. I know what it is. She's very much aware of mine. I know what it is. I know my strengths. I know my weaknesses. It's always trying to, just like other things in life, trying to, try to be better, but be reasonable to yourself, right? Can't pitch a perfect game every day, every week. But if we can just, play the game and play it in regulation. I hope that makes sense, right? Play it in regulation. Keep the ball in play. What you don't want to have happen is get over. And what does happen with the new trader is they're unsure. They hear something, they see something, and they want a shortcut. They want to jump the shark, and I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be judgmental here, but it's a very immature approach, right? And I have to say that because I would be remiss if I didn't. That's why I say we're interested in mature traders, It doesn't have, and we have plenty of folks that are in their 20s that are very mature. We got plenty of folks that are older that are very immature and very immature on their trading. And it's got to be, for us, it's got to be a good fit. It's got to be a mentorship. And so, we don't want to see anybody waste their time, and we don't want to waste ours, right? We have an investment, and I can tell pretty quick. We like to, especially if a person's going to ultimately become an annual member, we want it to be compatible, and we want to make sure. And, I'm happy to answer any questions that folks have here today. I wish I could turn on a microphone yet. We don't yet have the standing at YouTube to do that. Be sure to put it in high definition. I think it'd be a better picture. But I'm happy to answer any questions in the chat room, whatever it is. Could be questions about Stock Market Caddy, could be questions about the market. We'll try to show you and showcase, the tools that we use. Everything that we do is we try to do it from an empirical standpoint. Not that there's a Bible code, there isn't. But there is, and there are probabilities in these machines that these whiz kids have written and put together for these hedge funds are just really good, and we know that, and we're trying to track their footsteps. Like you see those dinosaur footsteps down in Dallas, pretty wild. So I digress. So if you got any questions, don't hesitate. The membership, without going into great detail there, I don't want to burn anyone's ear, but if you got any questions, happy to. But I think that if you think through how we have it structured, we're actually trying to, unlike what everyone else is doing, trying to give people an opportunity to say, hey, no, this isn't for me. And that's fine. We're not saying that this should be done by everyone. It should be. It should not be. No, it's going to be a rare. You're going to be in the minority. You're going to be in the minority, and so in any case, but it's been a Swing Machine has had a really good day. The program last night had a really good night. We've had a great week. I think most of our members have, from what we've heard. We don't always know, right? I ask our members to communicate to me, for the most part, in terms of what we call a profit factor. I don't want to feel bad about, how little money I made versus what they made, right? So we don't even talk about the money because it's all scalable, right? A person could be, if a person had traded the ES on this signal at 10:05 and used the micro, they're up $400. If they use the mini, they're up $4,000. If they use 10, they're up 40 grand. Scalable. That's scalable. 10, they're up 67 grand here. Now, I'm not suggesting anybody do that. That would not be, I don't know, where, if someone's, got, just hit the $1 billion lotto, who am I? But the biggest mistake that new traders make is being undercapitalized or overleveraged. And it's the same side of the same coin. So a person, for instance, a person could have a futures account for as little as, I think, $2,500, $5,000, and they could overleverage it and blow themselves up. A person could have a futures account for 250 grand and guess what? Be undercapitalized because they overleverage. I learned that lesson the hard way. Fortunately, I came to grips with it really, really quick. I came in the early 2000s. Oh, I got this figured out. Yeah, I'm going to get in here. And I started pushing contracts around in size that was it was reckless. It was immature, arrogant. I didn't think so, right? But looking back on it, and the numbers were so big, up and down, but particularly down. I got a condition known to pilots. I had it happen to me twice, and I don't ever want it to happen again. And I got something called myopic vision, where the numbers were so large and I became so fearful that my vision actually closed in. And I was like, oh, Jesus, what have I just done? So you don't want to do that. Please don't do that. It's no fun. It was a terrible thing, actually. And I did it not just once, but I did it twice, and that was enough. Unfortunately, I got out unscathed, but I didn't understand. Leverage is a beautiful thing when used proportionately, disciplined. And that's where, the machinery comes into play to keep me honest. Now, I could trade much more. I could trade more frequently. I could trade more leverage. That got stenciled. That experience got stenciled on my ass. Okay. It was not fun. And I don't do things that cause pain, right? And we're as humans, right? We seek pleasure, we avoid pain. And trading can be a very painful experience. And so we want to be here Monday and next Monday and a year from now and 2 years from now. And we've been doing this a long time. And so we made a trade-off, Susie and I. So we trade very disciplined and we do options the same way. We made a video, if you get a chance, over the last couple of weeks, if you go back on our YouTube, you'll see some videos of option trades that we constructed and put together. We gave an update because we took some of those off. We're taking them off today. They did what we needed to do, and we were showing that. But there's a discipline with that too, right? There's a discipline, there's a strategy to it. And so I hope you'll see them. And, the 4 lessons of learning anything, why one has to be, a mature trader. Yeah. If you're going to learn anything, you need to, be aware of what it is you don't know. And so these videos that we do, that's what we were trying to do, is just to make folks aware of at least what we're doing. And maybe some folks will pass through live. Maybe they'll pass through over the weekend. Maybe they'll pass through a couple months from now. I'll say, what's that son of a bitch doing? I never saw that before. What's he doing? Let me go back and look. What was he doing a couple of weeks ago? What was he doing a couple of months ago? What was he doing? And we continue to improve. We're a lot better than we were, some years ago. We continue to challenge ourselves. But that's what these videos are about doing. We're trying to create some awareness. We're not trying to say, I haven't even talked about Swing Machine. I'm not. The programs aren't for sale. Nope. And individually, these programs have no value if you don't have the education and the perspective to. Hey, Bagger, Timo, how are you? We're on a little bit of a delay, so I probably see it sooner than you can hear it. And that's not my delay on YouTube. That's a delay by YouTube. So the second step, though, of learning anything, so you become aware, right? You become aware of something you don't know. And I use the same analogy, so I apologize to anybody who's heard this before, but we'll do something different than stocks. I always had an interest in fly fishing, but I didn't know how to fly fish. I know how to fish off a bridge, fish, from a boat. But I said, wouldn't that be really cool? I didn't have the slightest idea what to do. So I went to YouTube and I started watching some videos. I'm like, oh, wow, it's kind of interesting. And but so I became aware of things that I didn't know. But what I ended up doing, I said, well, I got to go talk to somebody. And so I went to Bass Pro Shops and they had a fly fishing shop. And I went in and I started talking to the guy. I said, you a fly fisherman? He's like, yeah. I said, I'd like to know how to do that, but I don't know anything about it. Can you talk to me? He's like, yeah. And I was there for a few hours with this guy. And he's telling me, and I'm like, you know what? I want to go ahead and I want to get equipped. And to give you an idea, he started going around, and I was a little skeptical too, right? I'm thinking, boy, this guy's he's gonna sell me the Brooklyn Bridge here, right? I'm gonna walk away with this whole fly shop, and I don't really want to do that. But he was good. He was a good person, and he wanted me to have fun fly fishing. And so we went around and said, okay, well, you're going to need some waders. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I get it. You're going to need a rod, right? Yep. And you're going to need a reel. And okay, you're going to need a net. Yeah, definitely going to need a net because I got to catch that, put something in the trout. Yeah, going to need that. And then he says, well, you're going to need a vest, a fly vest. Now I'm starting to do the math on everything I've been doing. I'm like, oh, I don't think I need a vest. He goes, you don't think so? I said, no. Because then he wanted to put all this, and I didn't say it right away, but then I thought he was like tacking on. And he was telling me I needed these things called zingers. And then I needed these forceps and needed all this stuff. And he's putting all this stuff in the cart with the vest. So I kind of dug in my heels there and I said, I don't think I need a vest. He said, well, why not? And I said, well, I have a tackle box. So I don't need it. I can put everything in the tackle box. He said, oh, okay. He goes, Don, let me ask you a question. He said, if you're in a river and you're wading and you're fly fishing, what are you going to do with the tackle box? Is you going to carry it? You're going to set it on a rock? I said, I think I need a vest. He goes, yeah, you need a vest on. I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know that. I mean, God forbid I made an investment and what if I probably would have, they would have been funny, right? I would have been carrying my tackle box into the middle of the river. I would have lost it all. I could have lost all my other gear, all my other saltwater gear, I suppose. I could have lost hundreds of dollars. Point being is that, when you talk to somebody who's doing what it is you want to do as a mentor, they can save you some time. They can save you some money, from making mistakes. If they're good, they're good. Mentors, by the way, they don't need, mentees. I like people. I want to have mentees. I want a stock market caddy to grow, but we don't really advertise. We've just added a little bit to create a little awareness, but we don't need to. And so there's plenty of mentees, but there's very, very few good mentors on different things in life. And when you find one, so you're getting a little perspective on not just trading, but on other stuff. If you find one and something that you're interested in, hold on to them, and they like to be challenged, right? Mentors know if the mentee is paying attention. And the mentor wants to be challenged, because when he does get challenged, he knows the mentee is paying attention and the mentee is really trying. And they respond to that. And I'm just saying in general, this isn't just me. This isn't just about trading. So once you become aware of something you don't know, and then you go out and you find a mentor and they make you aware of something, of what you need, you begin to learn. And so what happens at that stage, with the first stage, when I was I'd say the beginning stage of fly fishing, I was unconsciously incompetent. I didn't have a clue what the hell was going on. And then after I went to the Bass Pro Shop, he spent a few hours with me. I got all suited up, and I was consciously incompetent. I was becoming aware of what I didn't know. I still didn't know a whole lot. Like, one of the things that I did was so stupid. There's a little eyelet on the fly rod, little eyelet. And I went fly fishing with my wife, Susan, and I took like 3 or 4 vacations and I had all my fly fishing gear. Imagine this. And you know what I did? I fed the fly line through the eyelet. The eyelet near the handle is meant to hold the fly when it's not in use. And I fed the line through that. Oh my God. And so the line, if you know anything about fly fishing, which I didn't, was restricted from doing it. And I thought I was so good at what I was doing. I started to teach my brother how to do it. And I repeated the same mistake for him. You know, he didn't catch any fish, and I didn't catch any fish. I'm like, what in the world? I invested in all this equipment, all this stuff. And I was reading and everything. And finally, I just wasn't catching anything. And we were up in North Georgia. My wife Susan's sitting on the bank of the Dakota River reading a book. I'm in the beautiful river and I'm out there, but I've never caught a fish. Susan doesn't even think there's any fish in this river, any river, because she's never seen me catch one. And I've been in this river for like a couple of hours. I'm having a good time, but I'm not catching anything. And this guy comes over and he comes into the river and he's about 25, 30, 50 yards from me. And he's not in the river 10 minutes. He catches a trout. I'm like, what? And of course, Susan looks up from her book and sees him catching the trout. I'm like, man. And then a little bit later, he catches another one. He catches another one. And I'm like, you got to be shitting me. I've been here for 2 hours. What in the hell? He's got the waders. He looks, I got everything he's got, I think. And I was kind of pissed. What kind of scam is this? So I go storming out of the, I didn't go storming out, but I went out of the river and I went over and Susan's like, wow, you got to go talk to him. No. I sat down, I kind of pouted a little bit. I was kind of, hangdog. And I sat down. Susie was at a picnic bench. I sat down and for about the next hour, I just watched this guy have a great time and he's catching fish and I'm kind of envious. And Susan's like, you got to talk to him. I'm like, nah, so I was reluctant, and finally, and Susan's like, Don, we've been doing this, you got a lot invested, you invested a lot of time, you've invested all in this equipment. We've had like 3 or 4 vacations, I've been flying, I haven't caught anything, you got to talk to him. So I did. And fortunately, and when he came out, I didn't wait. I waited for him. I said, do you mind? Can I talk to you? And that's where he first showed. And he said, let me see you again. And he showed, I had the line going through the eyelet. That's where I learned that. And then he proceeded to give me a whole education. So I'm not going to give you a fly fishing education here, but the point being is that he also gave me another lesson. He said, Don, we got to, on a first name basis at that time. And he gave me some pointers and he said, one of the things that I do when I go on vacation, wherever I am, is even though I've been fly fishing for 20 or 30 years, I go to the fly shop in town and I find out where it is and I talk to those guys. And then he said, I actually hire a guide for an afternoon, a day or two. I said, you do? Said, yeah. I learn a lot. I learn a lot about what the fish are biting, conditions, and then the rest of my vacation, I catch a ton of fish. Huh. The next day, I had to put into use what he had told me. I went back, I didn't have the fly line going through the eyelet, and I caught fish. And the next day, I hired a guide. And every vacation that I've gone since, I hire a guide for that first day that I go. And I struggle between trading, fly fishing, and golfing, because golfing is exactly the same thing. And fly fishing is the same. And trading is the same. And anything else that you want to do in life is the same. It could be quilting, but I'm never going to be. I got a sister that's a phenomenal quilter, but I have absolutely no interest. I don't know anything about quilting, and I have no interest in quilting, and therefore I'm not going to learn. I'm not going to hire a mentor. I'm not going to waste my time. It's great. I'm sure it's great, but it's not interesting to me. The same was true. I spent 25 years of my life in surgery. Same thing. Surgeons, guess what they like to talk about? Surgery. Imagine that. Those guys love to be in surgery. They want to be in surgery. And, being in the office and seeing patients and everything else is a necessary part of what they do, but they really want to be in surgery. And so they're doing what they love, right? You may only see them. You don't want to be in surgery. I don't want to be in surgery, but I spent my life with them in surgery, not as a patient, but as a guide. I taught surgeons how to work with some of the more sophisticated instrumentation of the day. That's why I put it. Now, and it was the case. Now, I'm not a surgeon, but I learned early on as a very young person. I was trained by some of the best companies in the country that I was never going to be a surgeon. And I had to take a very complex matter and for my own edification and turn it into something really simple so that I could communicate with a surgeon. He wouldn't think that I'm trying to be a surgeon because I wasn't. And we could converse and understand each other. So my strength was in taking complex stuff and making it really simple. Trading. I said to Susan, after 20 years of screwing around with the Investors Business Daily, I'm not going to mention, but they all had their place, right? Spent thousands of dollars, did everything, all that stuff, right? And this stuff, the stock twits, the message boards, it's just all the same, right? It used to be, what do they have now? The Reddit, right? It's such a waste of time. Before Reddit, it was Yahoo message boards in the 90s. Before, what is the Robinhood? Before Robinhood, it was the discount brokerages and the candles and all that crap, right? It's crap. It's crap. And in the early 2000s, I finally said to Susan, Susan, this is bullshit. Everything we've been fed, everything that we've been taught is bullshit. And let me explain to you why and what it is. She agreed. And Susan's background is IBM, Lotus Software. So, well, what are we going to do, Don? I said, well, we can go to, somebody and, and trust them to do what, I'd prefer to do. I always have a problem. Rush Limbaugh, you say, why do I want to go to somebody who's got less money than me and, and say, here it is, right? That's Rush used to say that. And I'm not Rush Limbaugh. I don't have his money, but we've worked very hard and we've been fortunate in life. And I wasn't comfortable doing that. I'd done that to a certain extent. But I said that, if we could develop a systems approach, not a system, not the Holy Grail, not the Bible code. I never thought that there was something like that. And there isn't. But I said, if we could develop a systems approach, like a surgeon, because the time that I spent with surgeons, I can just tell you this, I don't know if you ever given any thought, but these guys, they do exactly the same thing for whatever it is they're doing every single time. Right down to the point of almost being superstitious. You talk about a repeating golf swing or repeating surgical. If they're putting in a total knee or a total hip, they're doing exactly the same thing. Same approach. My job was to maybe change just a little bit of aspect of that. Okay, but they had to have confidence in me. They had to have, and they wouldn't just willy-nilly just do that, right? It was their career, it was their patient, their outcome. But I learned from them this surgical, there's such a thing as a surgical approach and a surgical discipline. And these dudes are like really, they're just really, really disciplined. Hold on one second. Okay. Sorry about that. We're being threatened with a little bit of weather. So, but I'm going to let you watch in. But you know, so when we developed Stock Market Caddy didn't come first, right? Stock Market Caddy came later. What came first was a pursuit of trading in the markets with Susan, my wife, where we didn't need anybody else, where we had number one, I said the most important thing was we would have needed to have liquidity. I had to be trading markets that were liquid. I wanted to be trading markets that were leveraged, not to abuse, but to minimize my expense and my return. And I had to understand that I couldn't control the market. And I needed to understand that there were things that I could control. Difference there. I cannot, you can't, I can't, no one can control the market, not even the Fed. But there are things that you can control. Like what? What you trade. What time do you start? What time do you end? What market do you trade? How much leverage do you use? What approach do you take? Are you trading a trend? Are you trading a counter trend? Can you even recognize the difference? Are you trying to feed the fly line through the eyelet? Have you watched a YouTube video or two and think you've got it all figured out, or that someone else has got it all? We don't make those videos again to present ourselves that way. No way. We have members that are a hell of a lot smarter than me. A hell of a lot smarter. I never even had a biology class, by the way, and did what I did for 25 years. So, you know, it's up to you. It's up to you. I would just suggest, and I do suggest to family and friends, if you're going to pursue anything in life, before you make your, the full bore commitment, talk to people that are doing it. Talk to them. Ask them questions. You can read books and stuff. There's not, this is a highly specialized thing. And we couldn't do what we're doing today 10 years ago. The technology wasn't there 20 years ago, 20 years ago. We've gotten better and better because the technology has also gotten better and better. By the way, TradeStation, I have no affiliation with TradeStation, but other than being a very happy customer, their tool is like a surgical tool. It is phenomenal. I'm going to need to break away. Tim, I will be back. We like to look at our options at the very end of the day. So I need to do that. I'll be back at 4. The market will have closed, and I'll hang out to about maybe 4:10, 4:15 if there are any questions, and happy to answer them for you. In the meantime, these trades, this tea time is still the same. This ES contract from 10:05 is up 4,800, 8 grand, 3,700, 2,800. Think about it. I'll be back. Okay, sorry about that. It's a beautiful thing when everyone else is selling and you're buying it, and I'm buying to close, and when everyone else is buying, we're selling to close. Um, isn't there hundreds or thousands of people in this chat instead of three or four? Oh, well, thank you, Tina. Tina says, isn't there thousands, hundreds of thousands or people in here? No, but that's okay. It could be in large part why, not because they're not with us, but you know, um, you know, we don't advertise and it isn't, I don't want to say it seems easy, right? I think it is easy, but our members do work very, very hard, um, and put in a lot of time and a lot of effort. And we're there for them throughout the Q school and on an ongoing basis. And so I don't know how many people, you know, I think they think that, trading, how hard can that be? How hard? I just buy and sell, don't buy. It's easy. The price goes up, the Caddyshack, the guy with the, remember Rodney Dangerfield? They're buying, I'm selling, they're selling, I'm buying. Yeah. That's all well and good until you actually have, your bread on the line, and then all of a sudden the focus comes in, and the emotion comes in. And this is where I haven't even talked about like swing machine, right? Because it's more of the psychology of trading and then also the psychology of getting a hold of your emotions. And you can talk about that all day long. But, we live and breathe it day in and day out. And there are certain steps that have to be taken. And I may have our members listening to this. I have some now, but there may be other members that we're doing certain things. And I said, look, this is what you need to do. Week number one, from here on out, I need you to do these specific things for a week. And then the second week, I need you to do this. And then the third week, I need you to do this. And tell them why. And I've had a member even say, I've done that. I'm like, no, you haven't. No, you haven't. Because they weren't able, there were other questions that I knew weren't in it. But I need you to do it. Okay, Don. All right, I'm going to do it. I said, and I don't want you to deviate. I want you to do exactly this. And then come back and say to me, son of a bitch, you're right. 3-4 days later, and come back and then and 3-4 weeks later, just not even, like, wow, I wasn't doing it. I thought I was doing it. It isn't easy. I don't think it would be the same thing. Like everyone wants, I think, a Tesla to sit in the back of the car and let the car drive them across the country. How many people are really going to do that? Right? It's not, I don't know. I don't have a Tesla. I don't know if I could ever be able to do that, but it might be kind of neat to have the car drive itself a little bit, at times. But so having a machine to help you trade, I mean, I think everyone probably says, yeah, that sounds great. But getting yourself in position to be able to do that is not necessarily that easy. And if you don't have the mentorship, hey, you're going to need a fly vest. You're going to need, how about, do you know the difference between a wet fly and a dry fly? No, I didn't know that. Oh, how come every time my wet fly sinks, oh, you got this little powder you're supposed to, okay. I get, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know this. I didn't know that. Oh, how do you get the fly to hook around a rock? Oh, you twist your wrist at the end and then think, oh my God, look at that. I could never get the fly to go to the left or go to the right or, get it behind this log or that log. Trading is much the same way, right? At the end of the 3 weeks, I have all the confidence in the world. We're not inexpensive. It's huge value. But at the end of the 3 weeks of the Q school, I have no doubt that the person, even for the person who's been trading their whole life, and we've had members that have been trading long before me, say, at the end, like, wow, that was like drinking by a fire hose. Man, Don, I learned a lot of stuff. I learned a lot. It's great. I like to teach. I always have. It's fun. Trading the way that we trade is boring. And that is good. I've always told Suze that. Boring is good. Right. And I say that to our members. Their trading should be boring. So I'm not taking away your fun. But if you're in there, getting excited about the money and I got to do that, I 10 more of those, and that's not going to be good. All right. Are there any other? But Tina, it's good to see you. Tim, if you got any questions at all, not sure where everyone is from. We do, we are growing steadily though for not advertising. We do the YouTube thing. Stock Market Caddy is growing at about 25 to 30% a year. Monthly members, we have an unlimited number. Annual members, we keep a limited number each year. And once that number gets hit, we go to the next year, and we have a little waiting list. And the reason for that is here we're trading ourselves, right? And Susan's always said, Don, you can do Stock Market Caddy, but it can't detract from our own trading. And so we can only do so much. We keep the Q School to no more than 2 people, and we can only, it takes us time to do what we need to do and to get you the files. And so we can only take on so many people a year. And we've had a very, very good year. So once you're in the Q School, though, you're guaranteed a spot, right? If at the end of the Q School, though, you don't have to be an annual member. If you do go on to become an annual member, we will discount you back $1,000, and you're guaranteed a spot. You don't go through Q School and then have to wait, if you want to go. But if you wait and, in September and we've got everybody, signed up for the year, it may be January at this point. We will, come up, not short, but there will be a wait at the end of the year for January. I'm thinking that probably the middle of November, but it could be sooner, and we never really know, right? So, but if anyone's got any questions about trading, anything about the markets, you want us to plug in anything, we do trade options, and we're building more and more tools for options, which are really cool. And this is, if you saw the video last night, this was the strategy that we ran last night. We stopped it at around 11 a.m. We left quite a bit of money on the table. That's okay, right? If you play baseball, when you get ahead of the pitcher, you don't keep swinging. You get ahead of them. You get ahead of them. The objective is to get on base. The objective is to score some runs. The objective is to have a good day, to have a good week. We don't have to have 20 runs a day. There are 24 trading days in a month. Hate breaking it down this way, but $100 a day. $100 a day is $2,000 a month. 200, 300. You take off Friday. If it's just 20 days. That said, though, the big challenge is: does the person have the maturity, though, to be that patient, that discipline, or do they get in there and say, honey, I can't be doing this for $100. I got to get in there and I got to make, I saw him, he made $6,000. I got to get a $6,000 winner in there every day, or 5,000, or I'm trying to, get to a certain number. That's dangerous, right? It's dangerous. I did have one person that well, I'll maintain his privacy. I won't go there. But that is it. That is, Tina, what is you saying? Pizza. I can think pizza. We're gonna have a pizza tonight. What is it? It's not what I can't think of you saying. Tina's gonna say, "Oh, tell me something." It's not a wrap. As the pizza says to the, or as the slicer says to the pizza, something. Isn't that funny? How we remember things, right? Stock market, Wall Street, and Madison Avenue all work together because that's how our minds work. They with stories. That's how we um, remember things. So I can remember Tina's got this farewell greeting, and it has something to do with pizza. Crazy. Um, they want you to remember we're not trading anything like that. We're not trading any narratives, any storytelling. Nope. We're not trading moving averages. We're not trading stochastics. We can trade those if we had to. We can tell you how to do it, and probably do a lot better than what you've been doing. We can certainly teach you that. But because most people misuse Bollinger's, misuse stochastics and averages even. But that isn't, our approach. That isn't swing machine. Swing machine is not using moving averages or stochastics or any of that. Well, if you don't have any other questions, we're going to wrap up. It's been, I'm exhausted. At the end of every week, it's a good tired though. It's really good. And if you're thinking about joining Stock Market Caddy, I say this because I think it's important. I'm going to work harder than you. I say that to everybody, and I do. You might say, how can that be? I do. And I think everyone that's gone through says, this guy really does work hard for me, when we go through the queue. After that, we're here and we're available, but then, to get from, the learning, you go from the 4 stages, unconscious incompetence, as you're just flinging things around, you become consciously competent. You got to be thinking about what you're doing. And then to get to unconscious competence. Okay. Thanks, Susie. Thanks. Excellent. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. See, we put in Susie calls it a stink bid. She loves doing that on her options. So she's writing me a note that her options, she put in a bunch of, that's why I had to break it over there. And she said, Donna, I want to put in a bunch of stink bids, stinkers, at prices that you wouldn't think would get filled. And guess what? They got filled because people panic. Beautiful thing. But Tina, good to see you. And I want to wish everybody a good weekend. I will be here. I'm usually, I won't be golfing in the summertime. I don't do that much golfing, but tomorrow morning I'll be in my office. And but folks, you're welcome to call. My phone number is 813-758-8263. Virtually anytime, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. I won't take a phone call after 9. I'm pretty tired. And usually before that, taking Ted for a walk. I get a beautiful golden. And, what we're going to try to do for our members is helping them trade as a business. Right. And I have as the pizza said to the cheese, have a great day. Yes. There you go. I knew it. All right. Thank you, Tina. And I hope, Tina, you had a great week. I hope everyone else did too. Thank you for stopping by. And we don't pester you. If you send us your emails, we will do spot views sometimes just on an email list. So not always on YouTube. But you can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on YouTube. You can send us an email. You can call us. And monthly members get to spend, they get a 1-day hall pass to spend some time with us in the morning and then spend the rest of the day on any day watching Swing Machine. We want you to feel good about any decision that you might be making to either come to us as a monthly member or come into the Q School, and then the Q School for the 3 weeks is really, we say, reserve your judgment about an annual membership. Wait, see what it's about, see what it is. And we get you teed up and get you trading, get you moving. We'll ask for you to trade in a simulated environment during the Q School. You don't have to have a trade station, but if it's good enough for pilots, good enough for surgeons, it's good enough for us, to trade in the simulated environment, especially these days, right? It shouldn't make any difference. And it doesn't make any difference what anyone else does in trading. Doesn't matter what your brother-in-law does, what anyone else does, what I do, what anyone else does. It only matters what you do. And we got to, we will help you, but you got to get your trading honed and disciplined and focused and mechanical and robotic so that you can build a repeating golf swing that you can depend on in any market condition. Market blowing down, you know what to do. Market blowing up, market going sideways, which they go sideways most of the time. Have a great weekend, everybody. If there's no other questions, I'll wait a couple of minutes, and we wish you the best. Big day, big week. Okay, no other questions. So have a great weekend. Thanks for the retweets, and thanks for the follows. Tina, have a great weekend. Everyone else, we'll see you all next week in the market.